Welcome back and welcome to another book review. I was so kind of not scared but worried about the hype going into this book, and then the hype was real. I can see why so many people are shouting about this book and so many people are loving this book and telling me I would love this book, and so I had to come on here and make a video about it. And that book is of course Queenie by Candice Carty Williams. I got this from the library, as you can see, and it needs to go back today, and I'm like, oh. I did consider buying a copy when I was back in the UK because they had wonderful Waterston special editions, but I thought I would try it out as a library book first because I was worried about the hype. If you're worried about the hype, you don't need to be. It's just a good book. Don't worry about it. So let me read you the synopsis so that you know what we are dealing with. This is adult fiction. So Bridget Jones' Diary meets Americana in this disarmingly honest, boldly political and truly inclusive novel that will speak to anyone who has gone looking for love and found something very different in its place. Meet Queenie Jenkins, journalist, catastrophist, expressive, aggressive, dramatic, loved, lonely, relatable. Her boyfriend has asked her to leave their apartment. Her boss doesn't seem to see her. Her Jamaican British family doesn't seem to hear her. Her best friends try to help her. The series of men she meets online treat her hideously, and yet she doesn't stop seeing them. Queenie is in a spiral. But what makes this breathtaking debut novel so fresh is that this spiral is mostly of Queenie's own making. The world isn't just happening to her, doing her wrong. Instead, as Queenie careens from one questionable decision to another, she finds herself wondering, as we all do these days, what are you doing? Why are you doing it? Who do you want to be? With humour, heart and honest prose, Queenie is a darkly comic and bitingly subversive take on modern life that will have you nodding in recognition, crying in solidarity, and rooting for this unforgettable character every step of the way. And I completely agree with that last bit. This is definitely funny, but this is definitely dark. It is definitely relatable, and it is definitely real life. Obviously, Queenie is a woman of Jamaican British origin, and I cannot relate to being a black woman in society. However, I can relate to being a woman in society, and I can relate to the kind of things that we all have had to struggle with, like finding affordable accommodation, trying to get on with your job. All those kind of things that she has to deal with on a day-to-day basis are very, very relatable. But then this book deals so well with systematic racism, with the racism that she faces, with the racism she sees other people facing, but it does so as a matter-of-fact way over the course of the novel. We're hearing Queenie's story, we're watching it unfold, and the examples of the racism she faces just keep coming and coming because that's the reality of her life, and it just deals with that so well. It talks in the synopsis about the spiral that she faces, and this is another thing that this book deals with so well. This book deals with mental health and the stigmas surrounding getting help with your mental health so well. It deals with the stigmas surrounding it just from society, but it also deals with the stigmas surrounding it based on what her family think and what is part of her culture as having Jamaican heritage. And again, it just deals with it so matter-of-factly. It's just part of the novel. It's just what's happening. We notice it, we deal with it, and then we move on to the next thing. So yeah, if you are looking for a novel that deals with some of these issues so well, but still tells a decent story, still can make you laugh, still keeps you turning the pages, then definitely don't be scared of the hype. This one is awesome. Queenie is 25, 26. She has a birthday in this novel. So obviously she is a slightly younger woman than I am, but I was still able to relate to her. She lives in London. Whilst I have lived in London, I don't currently live in London. Still able to relate to her. And her friendships are so varied, and yet they seem to manage to come together in almost a Sex and the City style friendship group. But they're so different, and they are so important in this book for her. And I love having a book where you have some really positive female friendship as well. I read this book in basically 2 sittings. I read 2/3 of it one evening, and then the next third of it the next evening. It's a little over 300 pages, but I just couldn't stop turning the pages. I just wanted to know what was going on. It talks about how she is treated so horrifically by these men. There are some quite graphic sex scenes in here, and they are not the nicest of sex scenes, but again, they are realistic, and they are, you know, what happened to her, and they are what she felt that she deserved, and that's a really interesting part of the book. I just wanted to read you a couple of the quotes that I thought were really good in this book. There's so many bits of this book that were so easy to quote when the writer is talking about Queenie in the context of her being Black in a mostly white workplace, or her being a woman in a society that doesn't value women as much as they value men. So yeah, I wanted to share a couple of quotes with you. So there is an incident in a club where a guy touches Queenie's hair, and she gets cross, and so the bouncer kicks out her and her friend. It was unfair whatever way you look at it, and it was pretty indisputable evidence that even in Brixton, where we are meant to be the majority, we weren't. Another reminder that we and our needs didn't matter. Before I got off the bus, I made an internal list of people who could touch my hair. 1, me. 2, a hairdresser. 3, that's it, that's the whole list. I liked that quote an awful lot. It made me laugh, but it made me sad, the situation of the actual quote. And then she's speaking to somebody about so the conversation goes, well, Queenie, I think that you're taking on a burden that isn't yours. You can't carry the pain of a whole race. She says, it's not a burden I'm taking on. It's one that I have just here. I just can't pick it up and drop it. That's how it is. I can't wake up and not be a Black woman. I can't walk into a room and not be a Black woman. On the bus, on the tube, at work, in the cafeteria. Loud, brash, sassy, angry, mouthy, confrontational, bitchy. I listed off all the usual descriptors on my fingers. There are ones people think are nice though. Well-spoken, surprisingly intelligent, exotic. My favourite is sexy, I think. I guess I should be grateful for any attention at all. You know, when we go out, my friends get chatted up by guys who say, I'd love to take you for dinner. And in the same breath, they come over to me, put their hands on my bum and tell me they want to take me back to theirs and have sex with me over the arm of the sofa. And that's her having to explain that feeling to somebody that she's having a conversation with. I won't put in who, because no spoilers, always spoiler free. And then finally, not finally, because this book, like I say, has so many bits that are so kind of quotable and sum up so many of the things that this book deals with in just a matter of a few words. I did actual work for the rest of the day, with only one very small break to set up a flat viewing, asking for one of the women estate agents to show me around this time. Is this what growing into an adult woman is? Having to predict and accordingly arrange for the avoidance of sexual harassment? And I think that sums up the whole, how relatable this book is to be a woman, just a woman. So yeah, I was just blown away by how much I enjoyed this book. I'm not sure I would agree with the Bridget Jones aspect of it. The fact that it's being compared to Bridget Jones, you know I love that book. But I think that this book goes just a little deeper than that one. So yeah, I think it's kind of on another level to Bridget Jones. But yeah, I laughed, I cried, I related, I was worried for Queenie, I was happy for Queenie, I was, you know, glad that she had friends and supportive family in her life. And just really, really recommend this book. I've rambled on for 10 minutes about how wonderful it is. I will leave links in the description box below if you are on the fence about ordering this one. Definitely go for it. I loved it. And I think that you will too. Don't be scared of the hype. It's totally worth it. Totally well-deserved hype here. Loved it. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you are subscribed so that my next video lands in your subscription feed. Let me know in the comments the last book that absolutely blew you away. I will be back with another video soon. So thank you for watching.